All right, welcome in to the Pharmacist and the Photog Games, Grooves, and Grub. I'm the Pharmacist Dion Spencer alongside the Photog Steve Moss, and we're going to talk this week about motivated Mark Stoops again. I think we're going to have to find a new nickname for him, though. He's moved beyond motivated to, I don't know, he's on a mission.
Saving his program is what he's doing.
It's a redemption kind of tour right now, and too bad for all those Kentucky fans who were hoping they would lay an egg yesterday against Tennessee Tech because, I think he wasn't going anywhere. I don't think losing to Tennessee Tech would have been a good look for sure, but all Mitch Barnhart's been looking for, I think, in the last few weeks is signs of improvement.
A reason not to fire him.
Yeah.
And now they're on a 3-game winning streak, and with 5 wins now on the regular season, they've got 2 left in the regular season to become bowl eligible, and it could very well happen, obviously, but I like their chances, to be honest.
I do too. I didn't just a few weeks ago. I mean, we were looking at how many games are we going to even be in competitively, and now I do feel like we have a very good chance. I'm kind of torn. I think we have the potential, the way we've been playing, to win both of these last 2 games.
Well, Vandy is undefeated at home this year.
Right.
They're 8-2. 8-2, undefeated at home, ranked 12th. That's the team Kentucky plays this coming Saturday, ranked number 12 in the country. Diego Pavia has and Clark Lee, the head coach, has turned that program around in 2 short years. It's pretty incredible what Vandy has done. Kentucky definitely has their work cut out for them, but I think Kentucky has a fighter's chance, a puncher's chance to win a game and become bowl eligible, and it wouldn't surprise me if they went 2-0 the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, very possible. I mean, you've got the thing that worries me with the Vandy game is Pavia is the kind of quarterback that Kentucky has historically had trouble with. He's just as likely to pull it down and run it, and we don't always defend that really well. But the defense they've stepped up their game the last few weeks, so they may be able to stuff those run options for Pavia. Then you look at the last game of the season. We got to go on the road to Louisville, and Louisville now is on a 2-game skid.
They've imploded.
They do not look very well at all. Just losing to Clemson. They've lost to 2 not very good football teams. Is the
2
other
games
thing.
at home.
Yeah.
Both games at home they lost. Should have won both. Had a game-winning field goal lined up against Clemson and pushed the thing to the left. The damning part of this is that their quarterback, Miller Moss, no relation, comes out and says, "We've got internal issues that need to be fixed." That's not what you want your starting quarterback to say with 2 weeks left in the season if you are Jeff Brom, the head coach.
Yeah.
Now Louisville fans acting kind of like the vocal minority of Kentucky fans who are saying they're questioning what Jeff Brom is doing.
Yeah.
One woman even tweeted out, "I'm not going to another game that Miller Moss is quarterback."
Well, and that's funny that you would say that because a point I was going to make is I've seen this play out. I don't know how many years in a row where Louisville has gone on this incredible run, and we all know their schedule is not like an SEC schedule. It's just not. You can argue all you want, but they don't play the same kind of schedule that every other school, in the SEC plays. And Louisville will eventually they'll lay an egg in a game they should not lose. They'll lose it. And then they start to go a little downhill, and their fans, man, you talk about jumping off a sinking ship. I've seen their fans, even when they're winning, I don't see the support all the time like you would expect. If Kentucky would have those kind of records every year, Kroger Field would be packed to the gills.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong about that. And this is the same Louisville team that won at Miami early October. They get SMU this Saturday. They're at SMU,
and SMU is 7-3. I think on the season.
You're looking at potentially a 3-game losing streak with Kentucky coming in, your arch rival, and if you're a Kentucky fan, you've got to think we've got a real shot here at giving them 4 straight losses. And then you throw in, the crazy stat that when was the last time that one of these schools won both the basketball game and the football game? We'll talk about the Louisville basketball game in a minute, but I like the way Kentucky is trending.
Yeah, our trajectories between us and Louisville they're going the opposite directions for sure.
And granted, now Kentucky still got to go to Vandy this weekend,
right?
But Tennessee Tech didn't want to be in Lexington last Saturday. Their coach even came out and said, we're playing for a conference championship. I don't know why we're playing this game against Kentucky. And
so there was a decent check involved.
Well, there is that, but we were kind of speculating on the sidelines if there wasn't some kind of like gentleman's agreement before the game, some down low, deep, dark secret where Stoops was like, all right, look, we're just going to run the ball. We're going to try to shorten the game, get you guys out of here. Kind of what they did.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to watch the game. I was out of town. I did keep up with it on my phone, the scores and everything. And, again, just one of those deals where Cutter Boley, he's not lighting it up as far as just straight yardage, but he's so efficient. He was 18 for 21.
21 is pretty damn good.
Yeah, 236 yards with a touchdown, no picks in this game. So, I mean, I think he's adjusting, I think, to the speed of the college game.
Yes.
And he's starting to make those reads and better decisions. What about the rushing touchdown in the first quarter?
Well, that was pretty impressive. Almost as impressive was the throw that he made to Hardley Gilmore, where he had to thread a needle between 2 defensive backs. Both closing in on the ball. Anyway, he made something out of nothing because the play the pocket collapsed. He was forced out of the pocket, rolled to the far side of the field, and then just trucked a DB.
He walked a tightrope and then gathered himself and rolled a guy.
Trucked the guy and then just plowed his way into the end zone. And Stoops said afterwards, he's like, I don't like seeing that, obviously, from our quarterback. He's like, and then he got in the end zone, and I'm thinking,
I love seeing that from our quarterback. Yeah. I can tell you his teammates loved seeing him do that because there's nothing that will endear a quarterback more to his team than to see
showing
him
toughness
out there. Yeah, I mean, getting out there and be willing to take a hit. And, not only, he could have danced out of bounds when he was
That's what Stoops said. Sideline. He could have tiptoed out of bounds and we, lived to play another play.
He's still young and stupid, so he decided to put his head down and score a touchdown.
And Cutter said, I've got to probably make a better decision next time.
Yeah, but I mean, when given that our backups are Bo Allen and Mr. Money Flasher there, I don't know that we want to keep Cutter healthy. I think Kentucky's fortunes for sure ride on him, but great game from Seth McGowan. He was not a ton of yardage, 17 carries for 72 yards, but 3 touchdowns, so he's getting in the end zone. But it was a balanced attack by Kentucky, 260 roughly passing yards and a little over 200 rushing yards. They didn't have any turnovers.
Right.
Only 20 yards in penalties. Just solid all the way around.
And Kendrick Law showing again this week why Kentucky wanted him, the transfer out of Alabama. 11 targets, 11 receptions, which was a career high, 124 yards, which was a career high, and one really, really nice pitch and catch from Cutter Boley that went for 78 yards that set up another score. The opening drive of the game I thought was just a thing of beauty. You didn't get to see it, but 11 plays, 85 yards, ate up nearly 7 minutes of clock, and McGowan scoring the first of 3 touchdowns, as we mentioned. Just an all-around good performance by the Cats. The injuries are starting to mount up, especially on the defense. They lost another starter on Saturday when one of their defensive linemen went out with a shoulder. Not sure what the long-term prognosis is, but went out early in the game. So they're probably down to 3 or 4 starters now. So everybody on that defensive side of the ball, while they've gotten a lot of reps all year, most of these guys have come off the bench, which just goes to show you the kind of depth that they've had over there. Grant Gottfried and Daverin Rayner, both linebackers that are now starters. They weren't when the season started. They're going to be the guys going forward, and they had a great game against Tennessee Tech, 5 tackles each.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's stepping up, and that's what you want to see because, even 4 weeks ago, we were talking about the fact that this Tennessee Tech team could come in and beat Kentucky. And playing the way Kentucky was playing then, yes. But based on what we've seen in the last 3 weeks or so, this is like a completely different team. It's like somebody flipped a switch and they've started to figure things out.
I think a lot of it is Cutter Boley offensively.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mentioned to somebody it's kind of like how Tom Brady ended up inheriting the job in New England. An injury forced him into the game, and then suddenly he becomes the greatest quarterback, considered by many, to ever play. Cutter comes in with an injury because of an injury, and Kentucky has taken off. I think too, you got to give Bush Hampton some credit. I think Mark Stoops has finally, after that Texas debacle there at the end of the game, I think Stoops has kind of taken the handcuffs off of him.
Right. I agree. I think that's been the difference in the season. I think Stoops finally has seen, I've got a kid here who I just need to trust him, and I need to trust my offensive coordinator to put him in the right positions. And, are we going to get, hopefully now another season with the same OC and the same
I think it's going to be hard for Stoops to fire a Bush Hampton just because he's had so many offensive coordinators since he's been at Kentucky. And what Hampton has done over the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's called some really, really good games.
Yeah, I think there's been enough. I've seen enough.
Yeah.
For me.
I think so. I don't think Stoops is going anywhere. As you said, I think Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director, was just looking for a reason to not have to fire the guy. And, oh, by the way, we owe him $38 million in a 2-month window, which is just not, that's not feasible for a school like Kentucky.
Right.
Again, we've talked about it here before. I think the most important component to all this is Cutter Boley. Does he want Bush Hampton back?
True. I mean, that, maybe.
Does he want Mark Stoops back?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean,
he has come out publicly and said they were fighting for Stoops' job. They were tired of hearing about how Mark Stoops was on the hot seat.
Well, maybe Cutter realizes that if they don't have to pay Stoops a $38 million buyout, there's going to be a fatter paycheck. I saw a pretty funny tweet today that was like, "Hey, let's save that $38 million and spend it on an offensive line, and because we're going to graduate a bunch of dudes."
Well, there are some offensive linemen who haven't played it down this year that are getting paid $1 million.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
they've really this last class, the portal guys. There's some dudes in there who didn't pan out, and they're getting paid a lot of money. So, it's back to the drawing board when it comes to that. I still think Stoops is at his best. Of course, Vince Merrill's not here now, but Stoops was at his best when they were recruiting and developing young guys.
True.
And some of these guys who are playing big roles now are those young guys. So maybe they're getting back to some of that. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so. It's going to be fun to watch this week. I mean, you got Vandy's coming off. They had a bye week this week, so they've had time to sit around and heal up a little bit, which may play to their advantage. The cool thing about it for Kentucky and Vandy fans, considering that you're looking at basically what has been the 2 doormat programs of the SEC for pretty long time.
Yeah.
But SEC Nation is
That's
going
true.
to Nashville this weekend. I guess they looked at the slate of games, and there just wasn't anything else that was as compelling. I guess as you got a Vandy team that is still in the mix for the playoffs potentially.
Yeah.
And then you got Kentucky playing for Stoops' job. So I think the storylines were there for sure. I think the only other ranked matchup, it just wasn't very good. You know, it was like Missouri and somebody. I can't think of who they were playing, but there were some good games. I was just catching up on some highlights last night. I mean, you had number 5 Georgia over number 10 Texas, and that game wasn't close.
Right.
It was 35-10. I thought the storyline watching Ole Miss beat Florida was kind of interesting. Just, you know, that it's looming out there that a lot of people seem to think that Kiffin's going to end up at Florida next year. So to watch, you know, him beat up on his prospective future employer, I guess, is kind of interesting.
Or it may solidify that, you know, hey, Florida, you definitely want me. Look at this.
Yeah, that's true. Number 4 Bama lost to number 11 Oklahoma. That was kind of surprising. I wasn't expecting that. You know, Bama's
and that was in Tuscaloosa, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
The crazy game was that South Carolina Texas A&M game.
You know, there's a lot to not like about South Carolina coach Shane Beamer. But what he did at the end of the half, running off the field and taunting the A&M fans
while they were up
30-3, and then it comes back and bites him in the ASS. You know, you get what you deserve there, big boy.
Yeah, you're up 30-3 at the half, and you lose the game 31-30. So
you get what you deserve.
Yeah, that's you know, the only win that South Carolina had yesterday was they got some state trooper kicked off of his job. So, that, you know, if you've not seen a video on that, not a good look at all for a state trooper. Yeah, no doubt. But good football yesterday. I didn't, like I said, I mostly just watched some highlights and tried to catch up while we were out of town. But that's the good. UK winning is the good on the football side of things. The not so good, but not. We talked about it. Not surprising that Kentucky basketball lost to Louisville this week. It could have been much worse from a scoreboard standpoint.
Yeah, they were up 20 at one point.
They were up
Louisville,
a couple of different times. Louisville was up 18, and Kentucky cut it to 8 or 10, and then back up to 20. I mean, like, you know, I've made no secret of I hate losing to Louisville at anything, but I'm not as concerned about losing the third game of the season, you know, without Quaintance and just trying to feel everybody out. But Louisville's good.
I think Louisville's very good, and I thought Louisville had the 2 best players on the floor.
Yeah.
Even though Otega Oweh from Kentucky is the preseason SEC Player of the Year, I thought Mikhail Brown and Ryan Cronwell were outstanding.
Yeah.
53 points between the two of them. Brown, the freshman, had 29, and it was effortless.
Yeah, he got whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted.
Right. Kentucky had 0 answers for that guy.
Yeah.
And it was you know, there's a lot to digest from that game because there are just so many variables for me. You know, we're only 3 games into the season or whatever it is, you know, and I raise the same questions I had all of last season with Mark Pope. It's like your lineups make no sense to me. But nonetheless, you know, the next game that I coach in college will be my first. So I just thought Kentucky was careless and reckless at some point. You know, some points of the game. I thought they showed a lot of heart and a lot of fight when they got it down to 4?
Yeah, I mean,
after being down 20.
They had a legitimate chance to win that game at the end.
And then Louisville misses the front end of 7 free throws, and Kentucky gets nothing out of the deal.
That was the killer right there. You know, we did not take advantage of the fact that, you know, they kept presenting us with opportunities to win the game. And, you know, I kind of thought it was just weird that, you know, if anybody had a hot hand in that game, it was Colin Chandler. And the last 3-4 minutes of the game, he just didn't really get any looks. They didn't even try to create for him, which that was kind of frustrating. You know, I do feel like we saw a lot of things going wrong for Kentucky in the first half that they shored some of that up in the second half. You know, the first half, same thing as last year. going under screens
Yes.
to get to the 3-point shooter
Yeah.
is just wears me out, because if I'm sitting at home on my couch, like you said, never coached a college basketball game in my
But
life.
I can see you need to go over top that screen
Right.
and not under.
And
what we mean by that is when the guy, when the Louisville teammate comes to set a screen, the Kentucky guy rolls behind him so that he's between the shooter and the Kentucky defender instead of going over top, which means he doesn't allow that screen to happen.
Right, just fights his way through
the
it.
Kentucky defender is still on the man, and the Louisville guy is trying to screen behind the Kentucky defender.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a split second. That's all some of those guys
Right.
need.
That's
they
right.
Just a second to get
And
their shot off.
Yeah, Mikael Brown burned him on that.
Yeah, and the McNeely hit a couple where
Yeah,
they
and
left. That's his
that's all
only.
he-
That's
that's all
all
he
he's
does.
got. You know,
Yeah.
he's a Steve Alford. You know, he's just a gun for hire, and he hit a few. But you know, I felt like there were things in that game. You know, you take positives away. You know, well, this goes back to the Steve Spurrier. You know, stats are for losers.
Right.
We won every statistical category in that game with the exception of turnovers. And that killed us. I mean, we had 14 turnovers to their 6, and they scored, I think, 19 points off turnovers.
And the other thing that Pope brought up on Thursday, he always talks on Thursday every week. The thing that he brought up was transition defense was an issue for Kentucky. He said they gave up 34 points in the first 8 seconds of Louisville's shot clock, which means Louisville was getting whatever it wanted as quickly as it wanted, and Kentucky gave up 34 points. And a lot of that came in transition.
Yeah.
So just, you know, more things that they've got to figure out. My pet peeve is this: if you're going to start a guy like Brandon Garrison, who to me doesn't give you a whole lot on offense, and you're going to sub him out at the first 16-minute timeout, why is he starting in the first place? Because if you couple him with Mo Diabate, who has struggled offensively, that means on the offensive end, you're going 3 against 5.
Yeah.
But then you're going to make a substitution at the first TV timeout? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Why is he even in the starting lineup? And then the other equation, part of that equation is that the local kid, Malachi Marino, the true freshman from Georgetown, he's pushing for playing time.
Absolutely.
And with the injury to Jaden Quaintance, I would just go ahead and throw Malachi in the starting lineup right now.
Right.
For Brandon Garrison, because he gives you better options on the offensive end. He might get burned on the defensive end because he's young and he's 7 foot, but he weighs 210 pounds.
Right. I think he's going to start to figure the defensive side of the ball out, though. I really feel that way. But yeah, he's giving you solid minutes. I mean, he's putting up 8, 10, 12 points a game. 6, 8 rebounds,
A couple of assists.
Yeah, I mean, and there've been several passes he's made that I'm screaming at the television, no,
Yes,
and
yes.
then he makes it and he threads the needle. So I don't know that he's not to Amari's level yet, Amari Williams,
No.
but he at least he sees things, and I like the fact that he's willing to take a chance, but
Well, to me, the enigma thus far has been Otega Oweh.
yeah. 5 turnovers against Louisville.
And body language issues. I bet you didn't know this, Mark. I didn't know it till Mark Pope said something on Thursday. They've got guys on that staff who grade players and their body language.
Wow.
I didn't know that. I mean, that's pretty thorough. And he said body language, it doesn't mean that you're like lazy or whatever, but it is a good indication, according to him, if you're engaged in the game itself, if you're focused. And he said there were 3 guys in the Louisville game who were underwater when it comes to body language grades, meaning, they were below 0. So, and I'm sure Otega Oweh was one of those guys. Yeah.
Had to be. He just didn't. He wasn't.
2 games straight now that he has looked like he would rather be somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he just he wasn't aggressive. He wasn't the take charge player that we saw in so many big games last season. I don't know what the answer is there. And a lot of people point and say, well, these guys are making so much money, they don't have to play hard. But, I kind of feel like Oweh's in a little different sphere there because in order for him to get to that next level, this is the last shot for him. And he's got to show the NBA scouts things that he didn't show them this summer.
Well, and they've said, like, you need to improve your shooting, but guess what? That's not his game.
Right.
His game is getting in the lanes and slashing to the rim. And I don't know what you do if you're Mark Pope because, Oweh is jacking up some jump shots, just like, Jasper Johnson. He's got to chill out on the just coming off a screen and jacking up a jump shot. Especially now that Jalen Lowe has gone down again, and Kentucky is looking to Aberdeen and Jasper to fill in that point guard duty. But Oweh he's got to let the game come to him. He's got to stop forcing some stuff.
Yeah.
And I know there were a lot of scouts at the Louisville game, and I'm sure he wanted to prove a point, but that's not your game, man.
Yeah, that's
unfortunately.
Yeah, that's just it's frustrating. Losing to Louisville's frustrating, and I just kept thinking in the back of my head. I still maintain that Louisville wanted that game early in the year, so they were sure they didn't have to face Quaintance, because I feel like there was a lot of things going on in that game that if you had someone of Quaintance's defensive abilities looming back there in the paint, Louisville was getting their big man Khalifa and can't think of the other guy's name, Frew, I think.
Yeah.
They were running a lot of the offense through them. They were inbound or not inbounding, but getting it to them in the post or high
kicking
post,
it back out.
and then they were kicking it out or dishing. Khalifa made some incredible passes, but I feel like
shows you why Mark Pope wanted him at Kentucky.
Right. If we were getting burned on the initial pass, you like to think that you have Quaintance back there to stop whoever's catching that pass. And so,
Quaintance also runs the floor a lot better than Garrison.
True.
And Marino.
Yeah.
So.
And he's got that dog in him too.
That is very true. And the last thing I think we've heard about him is that his timeline for getting back in the mix because of the knee injury has moved along a lot quicker than people had thought. So people are now guesstimating that he could start seeing some playing time 1st of December.
Yeah.
So next couple of weeks.
Yeah, which would be good. I mean, we got some big games coming up. I mean, we had a snoozer. What was that, last night or night before? Friday night, I think. They wiped the floor with Eastern Illinois, which not surprising. What was surprising was Diabate, your guy who hasn't shown any kind of offense. He did at least score 20 points and had 11 boards in that game.
A lot of that was inside too.
Yeah. And
he's not a jump shooter.
Yeah, Malachi, another 11 and 6. Andrea Yelovich, he had a decent game there, 11 and 7. So, and Jasper Johnson, very solid, 8 points, 5 boards, and 7 assists, which we're going to need more of that out of him. I'd like to see him do more of the creating and facilitating.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's a streaky shooter, but there's times when you got to understand that the streak's not there. And you need to,
or as Cal would say, you can take all the jump shots you want, you just can't miss all the jump shots you take.
And and that's the thing. Like going back to the Louisville game, the one guy who I have cringed when he's come into the game up to this point, going back through the exhibition games, was Cam Williams. He's come in, and I mean, dude has been like a black hole in the fact that the ball goes to him, and you might as well count on it going to the rim and not going in. And against Louisville, he didn't get any time until late, and then came in, and he was kind of like the spark plug for the comeback. So, you have to wonder. A lot of people were speculating maybe if he had been in there a little bit more to just try to rough up Brown a little bit and stay with him, just the length might have slowed him down a little bit. I don't know, but Pope's got so many kind of unique pieces to work with, and trying to figure out how to put them together. Man, that's tough, because it looked like we played better ball with the one big and 4 shooters than we did in the first half when he was insistent on having a couple of big guys, Moreno and Yelovich or Garrison and Yelovich. So I don't know. Tough to figure out, but we'll see.
Give Michigan State on Tuesday night.
in Madison Square Garden. That's a biggie. It's an early game, 6:30 on ESPN. They saved the prime time spot for Kansas and Duke and Mr. Boozer for sure.
Yeah.
Which he's the real deal as well. I mean,
Well, and Kansas has a hell of a player too.
Yeah.
So
so
they're
that's
one of their guards.
Yeah, that's definitely a marquee matchup for sure. Should be two good games, no doubt. Had I planned a little better, I would have stayed in. I was in New York City through today. Actually, I flew back in. Got into Cincinnati about 11 this morning. I just was totally oblivious to Kentucky's schedule when I was planning this little weekend trip to New York City. So yeah, that's kind of a fail on my part because I would have just.
You ever been
stayed
to MSG?
I have not been to an event in Madison Square Garden.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. The last time I was in New York City, I looked at tickets for, it was the 50th anniversary. I think it was like the 50th anniversary of hip hop or something.
Oh, okay.
And there was just a ridiculous lineup of musicians and tickets were reasonable. I don't know. I should have gone, but I didn't. But anyway,
you got to go to the world's most famous arena.
Yeah, I'll get there. We go to New York City once or twice a year, and I try to pick something each time that I haven't done before. My options this weekend for Madison Square Garden was the UFC on Saturday night, and for the low price of about $750, you could sit in the nosebleeds. Still baffles me that there are actual people out there who pay those kind of prices. I like watching it,
I'm not
but
a fan.
I'm not paying $700. I need to get a whole season's worth of something for $750, not one night in the nosebleeds. That's just not going to happen. I don't even know if there's many musicians or groups or anything like that I would even consider spending that kind of money on. So anyway, speaking of things I wouldn't spend money on, I would not spend money on any AI generated music.
Yeah, and
we're going to talk about.
I suggested to you, like, this has become a very interesting phenomena. I mean, I understand that AI is upon us and it's going to change the way we live. It's going to change our culture. But I found out, like, there is an artist, and I don't even think you can call it an artist because it's generated by a computer. It's not a human. But Breaking Rust has topped the Billboard digital sales country music chart. Strictly AI. Yeah. Now, how does that happen?
To me, it's sad. I had heard a little bit about it leading up to you mentioning it.
Yeah.
And so then today I pulled the song up and I listened to about a minute of it. And I thought, well, this tracks. This sounds exactly like every other bro country song out there. I mean, it's just one cliche after another. The one thing that I did find kind of interesting is the fact that if you listen to it, Mr. Rust sounds like a black dude.
Singing
for one
country.
thing. Yeah. So I'm like, am I listening to, Chris Stapleton and Shabuzi's Love Child? I don't know. That's kind of what it sounded like.
Right.
It had a very, almost rhythm and blues kind of feel to it. But yeah, the lyrics it's just your same. And that's why it works for AI, I guess, is.
Well, you and I will send links back and forth to each other because there is this thing called fake music that somebody has created.
It's an Instagram account.
Yeah, someone has created, and basically taking all these popular songs from one genre and creating the AI version of the same song in another genre. For instance, I don't know. Some Led Zeppelin song becomes a country song,
right,
or some R&B song, like, I've seen a bunch of Michael Jackson stuff now sounding like Metallica.
Yeah, but they seem to do a whole lot of harder like rock stuff and turn it into funk
R&B
and R&B stuff, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
And to Steve's point, we've been trading those back and forth, and
they're kind of novelties to me, though. They
that's
are good,
right.
and they make you tap your feet.
Yeah, I like
they're still kind of novelties.
I like the idea of taking a song like that and putting a spin on it and giving me a version that sounds different than what I'm used to. I mean,
but the original was written by a human being,
right,
and performed by a human being.
Yeah, that's where I kind of draw the line. I mean, AI, like you said, it's here. There's nothing we can do about it.
You can do about it.
There's a lot of good things that can be done with it. I want AI to give me videos of talking dogs and cats. That's what I want my AI to do.
Okay.
I don't know that there's no way I'm going to support, original music by an AI artist, but and what's really strikes me as funny is diving into that a little bit is it seems to be much more pervasive right now in the country music realm than anything else.
That might speak to the people who listen to country.
And
I'm sorry, I had to say that.
No,
I do enjoy country, and we both are friends with a guy who was the drummer for Alan Jackson and still is for his entire career.
Yeah, so
I like country music. I don't know that I like AI country music.
No, and the thing is, my enjoyment of country music is geared now way much more towards your Tyler Childers, your Sturgill Simpsons, and to an extent, the only probably popular country singer that I really like, the guy that gets any radio time, would be Chris Stapleton. But that dude could sing a phone book. I mean,
That's true.
Can sing anything. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I don't like where this is headed. But when I looked at this article, there's another in the digital song sales chart. There are 4 songs in the top, I think 15 that are one dude behind this Breaking Rust. There's another AI generated artist, Kane Walker, who has the number 3, the number 9, and number 11 spots on those sales lists.
You take a walking cane and you flip it, and you come up with an artist's name.
Right.
Kane Walker.
Yeah,
Come on.
So Breaking Rust, that song, it's
not his.
It's
I don't know what
its title is Walk My Walk. And the number 3 song by Kane Walker is called Don't Tread on Me. You can't get more cliche, formulaic, garbage bro country than that. And that's, the thing is, you could probably take both of those songs and hand them to Luke Bryan, and it would sound just exactly the same, and it would just be the same garbage as far as I'm concerned.
So there's someone named Zanya.
I saw that.
Monet, who has 40. Well, and again, this Zanya Monet, I probably am butchering the name, was created by a woman whose name is Talisha Nikki Jones. She writes the lyrics, but then puts the lyrics into the AI, and the AI spits out the song. Well, suddenly, this fictitious artist named Zanya Monet has 44 million streams, R&B and gospel. And this woman is making about $52,000 a month because of she's out there just writing these lyrics and spitting them out as this AI artist on an R&B, and she's charting on Billboard.
And the thing is, with the streams,
it's
obviously they get paid based on the number of streams. There's a whole lot of speculation out there too now that how many of the streams are AI generated, bot fake streams that's causing this to happen.
Well, now on this particular thing, Billboard is the one who's estimating what she's making, and she's actually charting on Billboard charts. The streams might not be, legit, but she's also the first AI to make it to Billboard radio. I didn't know Billboard had its own radio stuff, but apparently it does. So this comes back to a question that I asked you back when we were just beginning to talk about doing a podcast. Who is the next great rock and roll band? And we both are like, I don't know. Gene Simmons, I could listen to him all day talk of Gene Simmons from Kiss, talk all day about how there are not any great rock and roll bands.
Right.
And for the foreseeable future, there are not any great rock and roll bands. And I think the next great rock and roll band is going to be an AI generated thing.
Well, that's a shame, because, one of the reasons I love music so much is being able to go see them live. I mean, there's just certain, if you've been to any concert ever, you get it. If it's an artist you like, there's just no way I can get excited about AI generated music in the long term. I mean, like our fake music, it's fake music _BR on Instagram. I love those. I think I enjoy it.
I consider them novelties.
Exactly. I'd like to see somebody at an open mic night cover one of these songs in this style.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see.
Right.
And maybe we'll see that. But,
well, that's the whole point of me wanting to discuss it, was because, like, our company in broadcasting, we have very strict rules now against AI, because we are beholden to the public and the people who watch watch the newscasts. Because you can't, I mean, there are plenty of people out there trying to trick people with videos and that kind of thing.
Well, and it's working, unfortunately.
But when you're actually broadcasting newsworthy stuff to people who depend upon it, especially weather, AI could become your worst nightmare.
Right. And
it just begs the question: is AI going to start replacing human beings?
Well, I mean, in a lot of areas, they are already, but there's just inherent problems with.
There is something out there called Tilly Norwood.
Yep, that's the actress, right?
So she is an AI generated actress, and I don't know how you can call this thing an actress, because she's not living, breathing, but apparently Tilly Norwood is as real as it gets per AI, and has people now trying to get her cast in movies, and she's AI.
Yeah.
How do you do this?
Well, I mean, hopefully the real live actors will step up and say,
enough's enough.
We're not gonna
You're not taking
be in a
job.
movie with this actress. We're not gonna be.
She's not an actress.
Her. Yeah,
it's a generated.
Yeah, it's
figure.
Just absolutely ridiculous.
Digital figure or something. I don't know.
And the thing is,
holographic.
They can make a video of her and put it out there on social media, and there's a large portion of the population out there that can't differentiate.
Oh my gosh.
The fact that, I mean, and I will admit, in just the last 3-4 years, the AI generated videos and stuff that you're seeing on social media, they have gotten scary good.
Well, and this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to become so good that you won't be able to tell.
Yeah.
And computers programmed to specifically pick out AI generated stuff won't be able to tell.
Right.
So
yeah, there's a lot of giveaways and things now if you really pay attention. But I've gotten to where pretty much anything I watch on social media now, I watch it 3, 4, 5 times to make sure that I don't pick up on something. You got to be very perceptive sometimes to pick up some of these things. So I'm going to stick to,
That's why I love 70s and 80s rock. And
I'm going to stick with these new artists that are, singing, if I'm going to listen to country, I want guys that are, your Tyler Childers, your Sturgill Simpsons, Coulter Wall, and groups like that. You got songwriters like Jason Isbell who can talk about more than trucks and dogs and beer. The Red Clay Strays, who are bringing a really interesting sound to country music right now. Charlie Crockett, who, there's a lot of debate about how authentic Charlie's experiences are, but man, he sounds authentic, at least in his songs. The lyrics are there for me.
We've both seen him live.
Yeah, he's solid. And this week, just a couple days ago, I don't know if Steve's familiar or not, but Todd Snyder, who
Yeah.
is a just incredible. He kind of pioneered the Americana and kind of country alt. I don't want to even say alt country. It's more Americana and folk type genres. But he passed away, and they've not released a whole lot of information. I know he was diagnosed with pneumonia about a week or so ago, and he canceled some tour dates, just recently. And then word comes out, I guess, a day or two ago that he had passed away. So he was 59 years old. So really, if you've ever listened to, and honestly, one of the first times I became familiar with him was, I don't know how many years ago, but he was on the Bob and Tom show, radio morning show. He's got a song called Beer Run.
Yeah.
And that's a humorous look at life that a lot of us lived growing up, but he had a lot more serious stuff than that song too. But that's a loss. I won't be mourning the loss of Breaking Rust when he passes
because there
away.
won't be a lost.
There
lost. There won't be anybody lost there.
Yeah, it's
oh man,
this is just terrible.
It's a weird time.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cling to my old ways and keep buying vinyl of long dead artists, which I did this weekend. Bought some stuff. The last couple of weeks I've picked up some vinyl, and I think you did too.
I finally broke the ice.
Yeah,
after
you've been on a little
couple
dry
weeks.
spell.
Yeah. And visiting some of the old familiar haunts like Peddler's Mall or Half Price Books. I didn't buy a whole collection off of somebody, so I don't have hundreds of albums to talk about. But I did buy some, and five that I highlight would be Breakfast in America, Supertramp. And mind you, I'm not necessarily a fan per se. I'm a fan of the music.
Yeah.
But
it's a great album cover too.
Yeah, if it's a good price, I'm going to probably buy it. But that album won 2 Grammys. It had hits on it called like Logical Song, Goodbye, Stranger, Take the Long Way Home.
Yeah,
just
a
quality album. Probably their best album. Sold 4 million copies. Queen's Night at the Opera, which is considered by many to be their very best album that they've ever. I
don't have that one.
That they've ever put out. It's got Bohemian Rhapsody on it. You're My Best Friend. That came out in 1975. Just a really good album. We talked about this probably a couple of months ago, but when we were talking about the 90s and how Bill Collins and Huey Lewis were always on the radio, I found Huey Lewis Sports.
That's a great album.
Which is, probably his best album.
Very underrated album.
One of the soundtracks of the 80s, I would assume. 7 times platinum. It's got Heart and Soul, Heart of Rock and Roll, Want a New Drug, just packed with hits.
It's got a bunch of good hits. Yeah, no doubt.
And AC/DC's Let There Be Rock, probably one of my top 10 live albums. And then the last one I bought, if anybody knows me, they know my affinity for New Jack. I'm a big fan of New Jack Swing and some of those 80s R&B bands, and I found an old copy of an album by The Deal. They're out of Cincinnati, and I saw them at Kentucky State University's homecoming one year.
Wow.
And fast forward, and you might know 2 of them. One of them is Babyface, and L.A. Reid, who is one of the great producers of hip hop. So The Deal, Street Beat, one of a couple albums that I really like by those guys. But yeah, cool. So those are the 5 that I really, really want to spin a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. I picked up. I've kind of got a backlog of things that I've picked up and haven't had a chance to really sit down and listen to them. But I did spin the Led Zeppelin live EP that I picked up in Louisville, I guess a couple weeks ago when I was over there, and it's only got like 4 songs on it. I mean, I paid about $25 for this album, but it's long live versions of these different songs on there, and it's just stuff that Jimmy Page, I mean, he owns, I guess, the rights to all these things, so he can just mix them up and put them on vinyl and do whatever he wants with them. But stumbled on that at a spot over Louisville, and then added another Herb Alpert to the collection. Herb Alpert's Greatest Hits Volume 2, and a Tony Bennett album. I'm a sucker for Tony Bennett. If I come across things of his that I don't have, I'll usually pick it up if it's in good shape. When I was in New York this weekend, I went to a store that I go to on every trip now. It's called 54 Vintage Vinyl. It's on the main floor of a building called RPM Underground, and there's this really cool like karaoke bar. It's one of those places where you can rent a room with your friends and sing karaoke, but they've got all this old school neon, and they've got a wall of boom boxes and stereo equipment and stuff down there. So it's kind of cool. It's down in the basement, and so it's dark with mainly just the neon lighting it up. But the upstairs record store, man, it's legit. I could go in there if I had $5,000 to spend. I could spend it and not bat an eye. So picked up Herbie Hancock. Best of Herbie Hancock is actually a 1971 first press of that double album, which that was good. And then another one of my jazz greats is Ahmad Jamal, and I found an album of his that I'd never seen before, so I grabbed that one on my way out the door. Whole purpose of my trip to New York this week was not a concert, but in the same vein, I went to see Hamilton on Broadway.
Had you not seen that?
I had seen the Broadway touring version of it.
I thought you had seen something before.
Yeah, I had seen it, the touring version. And if you're ever interested in seeing a Broadway level production, the Broadway Live touring shows that go all over the country, they are worthy. I mean, you will have artists and performers in those shows that have been on Broadway. Sometimes you'll get lucky and the person who maybe originated the role on Broadway, itself will tour sometimes. But yeah, we had seen Hamilton. I had only seen it once before. My wife had seen it, I think, 3 times before. But this one was a little special because, one, I'd never seen it on Broadway. It's been in the same theater now for 10 years. This is the 10-year anniversary of Hamilton. But the originator of the role of Aaron Burr, Leslie Odom Jr., for the 10th anniversary, he came back to the cast and was doing about a 10-week run. So when those tickets went on sale, months ago, I happened to get a social media alert on Facebook, I think, and I was buying tickets that afternoon. Could have sold those same tickets for over $1,000 a piece this weekend. Yeah. So I'm glad I bought when I did, because it sold out for the full 10-week run. But yeah, just incredible. The whole cast was really good. I mean, we were obviously there to see and hear Leslie Odom Jr. do his part of Aaron Burr, but the entire cast was fantastic. There were some really talented. I mean, it's Broadway. There's going to be a lot of talented people, but Hamilton is such a just difficult and demanding show. And if you've never listened to Hamilton or you've never watched it, if you've got Disney Plus, carve out a few hours. It takes about 3 hours to watch it. It's just amazing.
And it's unique too because there's so much rap in it.
It's the whole thing. I mean, I remember when my kids, I don't know how many. Well, it's been almost 10 years ago. My kids started talking about this Hamilton, and my wife got them tickets. They went to see the touring version in Louisville, and I still was oblivious, did not know what it was about. And I said, well, what is this anyway? And they said, well, it's about Alexander Hamilton. And I was like, how the hell do you get a musical out of that? And they said, you'd love it. It's all rap. And I was like, how do you do that? How do you give me a history lesson in rap? Yeah. But man, I've become obsessed with it. I've watched it 8 or 9 times on Disney. And I mean, like I said, it's a 3-hour investment to watch it. I pick up something every single time, and I've listened to the soundtrack. I've got it on vinyl. It's four discs, and you hear things every time that you didn't pick up the time before because the raps some of them are so rapid fire that you almost need a transcript to pick it up. But just don't discount it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
If you're not, I never dreamed that I'd be a musical theater fan, but there's just something really special about going to see live theater.
See, I'm with you on that.
Those people are so talented that you can walk in, I think, to any show on Broadway, even if you don't know anything about the story. Just go in there and sit down and take it in because they're incredible. They're much more talented musicians than probably 95% of what's on the radio, because those people are made in the studio. You know, they get to dial it up and tweak it.
And they're rapping lyrics, but they're also rapping the script.
Yeah, the history of the whole thing. I mean, it's incredible. So
since you brought it up, I'm gonna tout the Lexington Theater Company, and I've talked about them before here. I think they do an excellent job for a local theater company, and they've got a good one coming up on November the 20th through the 23rd, and that's A Christmas Carol. And I got a sneak peek of that last week. I went over there for about 30 minutes and saw some of their rehearsal for TV, and it's just really good. I love the stuff they do, and they're just pretty damn good for a local theater company.
There's a lot of talent
and they
rolls out of there.
They have connections to New York City, and they bring in folks who have done on Broadway,
right?
And they'll fill out the roster here in some of the major roles. So it's all very good, and I highly recommend if you're looking for something like that. Lexington Theater Company is very good.
Yeah, there's definitely no shortage of good stuff to see in our neck of the woods. The only other thing we did, like from a musical standpoint, while we were in New York City, is we went to see the Radio City Music Hall, the Rockettes Christmas Spectacular, which my wife had always wanted to see that, and so we jumped in on the 2:00 performance on Friday. Shortly after we got there, we had time to kill before we checked into the hotel, and that was impressive. I mean, at one time, I guess during the climactic ending, there must have been 100+ people on stage, because it's not just the Rockettes doing their leg kicks.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of people on there. There's kids, there's men, women. The orchestra, amazing, and the way they come up and down out of the stage, they'll be in the pit and they'll be up. And
isn't that down at the Rockefeller Center?
Yeah.
So that's
it's at the Radio City Music Hall.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
And at this time of year, it's unbelievable down in that area.
Yeah,
with all the Christmas.
You see everything going on, and we walked past Rockefeller Center, and the tree is in the process of going up. I just thought, they bring the tree in, throw it up, and decorate it. I didn't even think about how you decorate a 75-foot tall tree, but it was completely encased in scaffolding. I got a picture. We'll post that with this. But yeah, we saw the tree decorated, I guess a couple years ago. We went up there as a family the week after Christmas, or I guess it was after New Year's, because we didn't want to get in the middle of the New Year's ball drop, but they keep the tree up for a while. So we did get to see it decorated then, but this time it was kind of neat. They were actually in the process of trimming it to, I guess, to make it all look
symmetrical.
But yeah, that was pretty cool. But I love New York City.
I agree. We were talking about New York City before we started recording this, and it's outside of Chicago. New York City is my favorite place.
Yeah,
it's difficult to get around. The two cities are so diametrically different because of transportation, the ability to maneuver in within the city limits. But man, there's just so much to do in New York City, Chicago too.
Yeah, we just jump on the subway and
see,
go.
I'm not as adept at riding the subway.
Oh, I didn't say we were adept at it. We
had
a couple
what
of
you're doing.
We had one little mishap where we got going the wrong direction.
Yeah,
and luckily we were near the end of the line, and we were able to just
so many
turn
lines.
around and go. Yeah,
it's 7 or 8 different lines running through the city. I got to have a local to help me because I can't do it.
With the advent of cell phones, that really helps. I can't imagine trying to navigate it with no help whatsoever.
Well,
from
and just looking
technology.
at the signage, the red line goes this way
Yeah.
and the blue line goes this way.
But
It's
but the thing
I'm
is,
getting
you can
lost.
you can enter the red line from this side of the street, or if you cross over to the other side of the street and get on the red line, you're going the opposite direction.
it's-
So, it gets a little hairy at times. But I enjoy the fact
All
that I
right.
can jump on for $3 and.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you though about I know you took in some New York City food.
Oh, we did. We went we more or less went straight from JFK. We took the subway to our hotel. We stay at the same place every time, and we come right up out of the subway, and boom, there it is. But then we got back on the subway and went down to Katz's Delicatessen. And it's a New York City icon.
Yeah.
And if you aren't familiar just by the name, you're familiar with the movie scene from When Harry Met Sally, the famous scene of Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal when she fakes the orgasm and Billy just sits there
It's
and
a family show.
yeah, so that's I've wanted to go there for a while, and we've just never. But my wife was like, let's do it. Let's just go. And so we went, and we got there right around 11 o'clock, and there was a line. It must have been 75 or 80 people out the door. And it was pure chaos. That's the only way I can describe it. I mean, it even takes New York chaos to a different level.
Wow.
But it operates like a well-oiled machine. I'll put a couple pictures up of the crowd inside. This place is amazing. Of course, they're famous for their pastrami.
Okay. Not a fan.
I wanted a Reuben. They do the classic Reuben with corned beef, but then they also do a pastrami Reuben. So we opted for that. We knew that the one sandwich was going to feed both of us.
Yeah, if you've never experienced the New York deli sandwich, you might want to bring like a dozen friends with you for one sandwich.
Yeah, the Katz,
because it's usually about that high.
The sandwiches, the pastrami sandwiches there at Katz, they average about a pound of meat on.
Nuts.
And just some fun facts. They go through approximately 15,000 pounds of pastrami per week.
Oh wow!
8,000 pounds of corned beef. So you're looking at 23,000 pounds of meat, just those two meats, and those sandwiches sell for $28 a piece.
See, the only deli that I have experienced in New York City is Carnegie Deli.
Yeah.
And that sandwich
huge,
was
big
literally it weighed like 2 pounds.
Yeah.
I had to have like a couple of friends help me.
Yeah.
And it was $20.
Yeah. So I mean these sandwiches at Katz, they're running $28 to $30. They do 23,000 pounds of meat a week.
Crazy.
So you can do a little quick math and realize that the gross on that is about $650,000 per week.
Wow.
And that doesn't even touch all the other stuff they do.
Oh, I'm sure.
So we also ordered some potato latkes. There were so many things on the menu that looked good to me, but it was an experience. It's fun to go in there and see all the famous people on the wall. They get pictures with all the famous people, and it's just cool. I mean, our kids haven't been there, and so we were texting them pictures. And so the next time we go back to New York City as a family, we're taking the kids so they can experience that too. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. We did that, and the other really good meal we had up there was right before our show on Friday night. We went to Victor's Cafe, which is the oldest Cuban restaurant in New York City, founded in 1963. Fantastic food. I mean, I had found it and had it on my short list, and then a guy that I work with, when I just randomly asked him for recommendations, he said, "We really like Victor's Cafe. It's Cuban." And so I was like, well, that seals the deal, because I had already picked it out. And yeah, it was fantastic. We'll throw some pictures up of that as well. It's good stuff all the way around.
And the thing about food in New York City is it's authentic.
Yeah.
I can remember going to some little hole-in-the-wall Italian place, and you think you know good Italian until you actually experience real Italian, and then you're like, oh Lord, I've been missing this.
Yeah. I mean, you can't throw a rock in New York City without hitting an Italian restaurant, and they're all better than anything we've got here in Kentucky. That's for sure. But
a southern spin on Italian.
Yeah. I mean, we had some good stuff. I kind of went with the standard. I got actually a couple appetizers. I got calamari and their meatballs, And then my wife got a penne alla vodka that we just kind of set everything on the table and shared. But good stuff all the way around. We did get some of the $1.50 cheese pizza. Yeah,
New York
cheese
City pizza.
cheese slices. I mean, you can spend a fortune on meals in New York for sure, but then you can also get 2 slices of cheese pizza and a couple of drinks for $5, which we did for lunch.
Which will fill you up because the slices of pizza are,
huge,
as big as your head.
Yeah, and it was good. Of
course.
I didn't have a whole lot of hopes for it, but it was good.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, I don't know. What about you? Did you get out anywhere this week or no?
Nope.
Nothing to write home about?
Nope. Shannon is in Florida at Disney, so haven't had any opportunity.
She's having fun then.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen some pictures already, and they're living it up.
I love me some Disney. That's for sure. I'm a big Disney fan. Kind of jonesing for a trip. I haven't been in. It's been 5 years since we've been. We went right before the pandemic, and our adult kids are clamoring to go back. So we may try to swing that soon.
Yeah, sounds fun. I went last August.
Yeah,
with family.
I love
grandkids.
I mean, people I think as an adult, if you can still love going to Disney and just kind of suspend reality for
I don't know if I would say it's the most wonderful place on earth, but as they like to claim,
yeah,
it's a hassle.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, but
and
like
expensive.
I said, you just kind of have to adopt the mentality that this is just monopoly money.
Yeah,
and just go and
until you get back home and you realize I just dropped $5,000 on a trip to Disney.
Yeah, I long for the days when you can do a week at Disney for $5,000 because those days are gone now. It's gotten so incredibly expensive. It was already there, but it's gone to a different level the last couple of years. But anyway, we'll hopefully have some good food and good sports to talk about this week.
Well, Thanksgiving is coming up, so I don't know about the food. I'm going to try to get out, but may have to. I love Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's probably about my favorite holiday, just because from the food standpoint. And we talked about this last year at Thanksgiving, but that's been a year ago, so we may have to revisit some of those topics a little bit about why we like Thanksgiving so much. I mean, we're obviously
it's the only leftovers I like.
Yeah, we're both obviously well-fed individuals, so that's why we like Thanksgiving.
Why you say that?
So we'll do that. But anyway, we're enjoying. Before we forget about it, I guess Steve picked up for us from Town Branch Distilling, part of the All Tech family over in Lexington. This is the Bourbonola. It is a bourbon and cherry cola. 12% alcohol, made with Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey with natural flavors and caramel color. It tastes like a bourbon and cherry Coke.
It's very good.
I was telling Steve, a lot of brewers will shy away from using cherry just simply because it comes off very cough syrupy in its finish. This is pretty solid, actually. I mean, it's like if you were to take a cherry Coke and
mix it with bourbon,
toss a splash of bourbon in there. And like I told him that, at 12%, that's dangerous because it doesn't taste like it has.
It's very good.
It's really smooth, slightly sweet, but
it doesn't have that traditional bourbon. I'll just say warming.
Right.
It warms your throat up after,
right.
aftertaste or whatever.
I think the cherry cola aspect of it
kills some of that.
Tends to overwhelm a little bit of the bourbon aspect.
But it's very good.
Yeah, it's very solid.
Well, in all honesty, did something at the brewery first for TV, and then we went over to the distillery, which is like in 2 separate buildings, but they're right next door to each other. It's a great place. It's a great place to see a tour. And they were like, hey, can we send you home with something? I'm like, well, absolutely. You have to twist my arm. I said, right. I've had, that, and that. Give me something kind of off the wall, because we do a podcast and we talk about local drinks. And he's like, take the cherry. That's an oddball. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, like I said, it's good. I do think it would be dangerous at 12%, given the fact that it just doesn't taste like alcohol. So, good stuff. We appreciate
Maybe
those
I'll
guys.
sleep good tonight.
Yeah, we appreciate those guys for hooking us up with this. We'll always never going to look a gift horse in the mouth. That's for sure.
And
but
the next time we get together, maybe we'll have the beer.
Yeah,
we're having the bourbon. We'll have the beer.
Yeah, we'll do that. No doubt. Good stuff. Anyway, if we don't have anything else, I think we'll call it a night, and we'll hope for the Cats to get a win against the Spartans on Tuesday night. Should be a tussle for sure.
No, I Kentucky, to me, still with some stuff to prove. Otega Oweh's got to get out of his funk if he wants to help lead this team to where it wants to go. And as Mark Pope said, they were playing, what did he call it, dumb effort, playing with dumb effort. And I think Kentucky needs to come out and play smart.
Yeah, you can't play a dumb effort game against a Tom Izzo coached basketball team.
And they will pound you inside, and they like to get up and down the floor. So it's going to be an interesting matchup for Kentucky.
No doubt. Hopefully we'll talk about a win next week. Until then, cheers.